Hey loves, it's your girl Mariah Sincere, aka the Passport Sis, and I am back with another bomb live. For those of y'all who do not know me, I am a self-love coach who specializes in helping people radically transform their lives through one-on-one coaching. I've done it myself. At the beginning of 2024, I was completely miserable with my life and decided I needed to change. And I moved to a different country. I moved to Medellin, Colombia. I've learned how to be happy single. I've been through it all: toxic relationships, jobs that suck. So I know how to navigate these things. So if you need help with that during those trying times, hit me up at thepassportsis@gmail.com. I've got you. With that said, guys, today we have a special show. I am only going to be talking about politics today. I know a lot of y'all want to hear about celebrity gossip and relationships, but I've said this a million times before on my channel. I am all about the lesson. So I use celebrities as an example so that we can relate or that I can have a reference point. But honestly and truly, I really don't care about that stuff. I only talk about it so that I can come talk to y'all. But I'm really far more interested in self-development, astrology, politics. So I'm going to be exploring many different topics this year. So today, this is a politics only live. So I'm just going to wait for some people to get in here. Now, I need to get into my Instagram account. Guys, I'm on a new laptop and I had some clips that I saved on Instagram, but I'm not able to log in with my password. I don't know what's going on. So again, I'm gonna give y'all a minute. I know it's late. I'm coming on so late. I know most of my subscribers are probably already asleep, but y'all, I'm just gonna have to come on when I can. I was trying to do the whole come at the same time every day thing, but the way my Gemini personality and life is set up, it's not gonna work that way for your girl. I'm sorry. I be having way too much stuff to do. I'm very dynamic. If something comes up, I adjust it. I change my schedule. So I'm just gonna have to come on as consistently as I can. Like that's the only way I'm gonna be consistent. Sometimes I be wanting to take a nap before I come on here, but then I committed to a time. Like we ain't doing that. I'm just gonna pop up when I pop up. So turn your notifications on. And be on the lookout. Again, if y'all are just now coming in, hit the like button, get in the chat so that we can interact. The more y'all put into these lives, the better it's going to be, the more information we have to bounce off of. So yes, okay. So one thing I want to talk about is Joe Biden's farewell speech that he just gave. Y'all know he's on his way out, and Donald Trump is on his way in. And it seemed like on Joe Biden's way out, he gave the biggest FU to the American people that he could possibly give. He did things that he really like. If you was really on that, you should have did this before you lost the election. But it was like after he lost the election, it was like he didn't have, they didn't, the Dems didn't have anything to lose. They decided they were going to go out kicking and screaming. I feel like Joe Biden's administration is going to go down as the worst presidency in the United States. It was so bad that Joe Biden on several occasions had me missing George Bush, because it never got this bad under George Bush. Do y'all understand? And during his administration, we got locked into endless wars. That man lied and got us into a whole war. During his administration, gas was high. During his administration, the Great Recession happened. Like all these things happen, and even then I don't remember life being as miserable as how it is with having Joe Biden in office. So that says a lot. So I'm going to pull up his farewell speech. and we're going to go over some things. One thing that I really didn't like about his farewell speech is that Joe Biden tried to make it seem like our country has fallen all of a sudden, like this is a new thing, that our country has fallen into oligarchy and tyranny, as if that hasn't already been the case. I mean, it's been that while. I mean, it's been that way for a long time. Let's be clear. But I feel like the Joe Biden administration was the straw that broke the camel's back, honestly and truly. He made many references to the Gilded Age, and I'm like, sir, we fell into a situation similar to the Gilded Age under your presidency. Like, let me pull it up. It's a mess. It's a mess. So I'm going to pull this up and react to it. Other thing we're going to talk about, guys, is UFOs. I've got some videos I'm going to pull up. Again, if you're just now coming in, hit the like button. Yes, so we're going to talk about UFOs. We're going to talk about President Obama lying about the deal that just got made between Israel and Hamas, and trying to give Joe Biden the credit when there's evidence on national TV that this was a deal that Trump had brokered. Like, the evidence is literally there. Okay. So let's talk about it. Give me 1 second. Okay, so here's the video. It's from the Associated Press. So that's the source. I will link that in the description box when I'm done with the live. I'm not going to watch the full speech. I'm just going to react to parts of it.
My fellow Americans, I'm speaking to you tonight from the Oval Office. Before I begin, let me speak to important news from earlier today. After 8 months of nonstop negotiation, by my administration, a ceasefire and a hostage deal has been reached by Israel and Hamas, the elements of which I laid out in great detail in May of this year. This plan was developed and negotiated by my team and will be largely implemented by the.
Okay, so I only saw a small part of his speech. I didn't realize he talked about that in the actual farewell address. But do y'all see the games that they played? Again, this issue has been going on with Israel and Hamas for a very long time. So he's on his way out. And on his way out, he has been tearing the house up. He's been sending all this money overseas, sending money to Israel, sending money to Africa, right? And honestly and truly, the Democratic Party has become the party of war. It's crazy. I never thought in my lifetime that it would come to this. We used to be and I need to quit saying we, because I'm definitely independent now, but we used to be the anti-war party, right? But the Democratic Party and the Uniparty, because again, this is also Republicans who are those rhino Republicans, those dino Democrats, would love nothing more for us to be at war. We were on the precipice of World War III, and I'm still not quite sure that we're out of it. With that said, what we do know is that we were headed on a course of imminent war if Joe Biden, or not Joe Biden, if Kamala Harris would have become the president. This is what they do, guys. They make so much money off of it. They invest in stocks, they invest in companies, they use war to money launder. Okay, so for him to try to take credit for this negotiation when Donald Trump has been all up in the news talking about how he was negotiating the terms of this agreement. Mind you, I think what they did was they wanted to kind of wait and see if the deal was going to come through, because before the deal was actually made, Joe Biden and Obama and none of them came out and publicly said, hey, Donald Trump is not the one negotiating the terms of this agreement. We are, right? So they wanted to see if it was going to actually come through before they took credit on it. Because if my administration is the one negotiating the terms of a deal, I'll be damned if I let the incoming president get on national TV and talk about he's negotiating the terms of the agreement when he's not doing that, when it's my administration. Okay. Furthermore, if they were effective, if they were competent, why is it taking you so long to reach a deal? Why wasn't this agreement reached months ago? So again, it's very convenient. It's clear that they're lying. It's clear that nobody in that administration or in liberal media wants Donald Trump to have a win. And again, I'm not a Donald Trump like fangirl. I will criticize him where he needs to be criticized, but this is just too much at this point. And the problem with this is that there are a lot of people who, just because they dislike somebody, they discount any good that they do. You know, it's like it's human nature. I've seen it's not just a Democratic problem. This is just a character flaw that a lot of humans have. When they don't like somebody, they don't want to give them credit for their wins. They can't say, oh, I don't like this person, or I don't necessarily agree with everything that they do, but on this issue, they got it right. No, nobody wants to do that. Instead, they want to villainize a person and discredit them for every single thing. And I don't like that. You know, I can call it down the middle. I only watch media where people call it down the middle. For example, I remember when that story came out about Kamala Harris, and people put out snippets of that speech where she was calling college students dumb. And, you know, the right made a big deal about it. And it was like, oh, these are the people who are voting for her, but she's going to call them dumb. And I was like, well, that's reasonable. Most people were dumb in college. I'm sorry. I have nowhere near the maturity level in college that I do now. Okay, so that wasn't something that was ridiculous or unreasonable to say. Was it a smart thing to say? Maybe not, but I don't feel like she was trying to do harm. So I feel like people blew that out of proportion. But you have some people who will never be fair just because they don't like somebody. And if you're like that, you need to work on yourself, honestly and truly.
By the incoming administration. That's why I told my team to keep the incoming administration fully informed, because that's how it should be, working together as Americans. This will be my final address to you from the American people from the Oval Office, from this desk as president. And I've been thinking a lot about who we are, and maybe more importantly, who we should be. Long ago in New York Harbor, an iron worker installed beam after beam, day after day.
Students with ADHD save
Baby,
10 hours studying with this Chrome extension.
But no, by all means.
I already have too many
He was
subscriptions.
joined by steel workers, stonemasons, engineers. They built not just a single structure, but a beacon of freedom. The very idea of America was so big, we felt the entire world needed to see. The Statue of Liberty, a gift from France after our Civil War. Like the very idea of America, it was built not by one person, but by many people from every background and from around the world. Like America, the Statue of Liberty is not standing still. Her foot literally steps forward atop a broken chain of human bondage. She's on the march, and she literally moves. She was built to sway back and forth to withstand the fury of stormy weather, to stand the test of time because storms are always coming. She sways a few inches, but she never falls into the current below. An engineering marvel. The Statue of Liberty is also an enduring symbol of the soul of our nation, a soul shaped by forces that bring us together and by forces that pull us apart. And yet, through good times and tough times, we've withstood it all. A nation of pioneers and explorers, of dreamers and doers, of ancestors native to this land, of ancestors.
I'm going to skip through these parts because honestly, this is your typical like political fluff. And my whole thing is, if he really cared about this country and the people of this country, he wouldn't have worked so hard and in overdrive to destroy it these last 4 years. If he really cared about, because y'all are going to see, he's going to talk about the working class. If he really cared about the working class and the working people of this country, they wouldn't have let in thousands of illegal immigrants to drive down the wages here in the United States. So many people lost their jobs, right? Truck drivers that used to make a lot of money, who could make a good living for themselves, now can no longer make the amount of money that they have to make because they are competing with people who will work for literally nothing. And I absolutely have compassion with people dealing with poverty all around the world. But at the end of the day, we pay our tax dollars to the American government, and I expect them to put American interest first, right? So this man has worked on behalf of the rich the entire time he has been president. This man has sent money overseas the entire time he has been president, right? And people can talk about, oh, well, Congress signed off on these bills or Congress passed these bills. It's not Joe Biden's fault. He signed off on it. He never once spoke up against us sending all this foreign aid overseas while the American people were struggling. As a matter of fact, he justified it many times. So I really don't care to hear what Joe Biden has to say about caring about the working class, because it's been evident that he has worked to destroy us this entire time, right? And I don't know if it was just his decision single-handedly, but he definitely was the figurehead.
Ancestors came by force. A nation of immigrants came to build a better life. A nation holding the torch of the most powerful idea ever in the history of the world. That all of us are created equal. That all of us deserve to be treated with dignity, justice, rooted. They just might not reflect the timeless words, but they echo the words of the day.
Y'all see that? That man medicine is either on its way out the door or it hasn't kicked in yet. And this is one thing I want to say, because I peeped a lot of Democrats on MSNBC and CNN now finally having the discussion about Joe Biden's mental health and talking about who should be held accountable for his disease being covered up the entire time that he's been the president. And honestly and truly, I don't think anybody should be held accountable, right? My whole thing is, if you let that game get run on you, it was your fault. Either you were extremely blinded by your hatred for Donald Trump, which again, that's your fault, or you didn't care. That was such low level, low IQ game that I don't feel bad for anybody who could not see that Joe Biden had dementia. Stevie Wonder could see it, which leads me to believe that you either were so blinded by hatred or You just didn't care. You would rather have somebody who needs to be in a geriatric clinic in office than Donald Trump, which is your choice. So, no, I don't think anybody in Joe Biden's administration should be held accountable for them covering up the fact that he has dementia and is probably dealing with a host of other health issues, because you let that game run on you. Because you let that game get run on you, or it was a willing choice. Either way, not their fault. People will do what you allow them to do. I'm sorry.
The Declaration of Independence. We hold these truths to be self-evident. Rooted in the timeless words of the Constitution, we the people. Our system of separation of powers, checks and balances. It may not be perfect, but it's maintained our democracy for nearly 250 years, longer than any other nation in history that's ever tried such a bold experiment. In the past 4 years, our democracy is held strong. And every day I've kept my commitment to be president for all Americans.
This man said in the past 4 years, our democracy has held strong. Sir, your own party single-handedly obstructed the democratic process for your voters, for people who got behind you. Okay? You knew you weren't going to run again, or even if he did think he was going to, I'm sorry, he knew that he was going to drop out. And even if he didn't know that he was going to be pushed out, everybody else knew. They had been with him for these past 4 years. Everybody knew that he had dementia. And my question is, who was running the country this entire time? Okay, which leads me to believe that when people talk about these deep state actors and when people say that the presidents are puppets, that it's actually true, because there's no way that a dementia patient was running the country for the past 4 years. There's absolutely no way, right? Even though it might seem like it because of the results. So for him to sit up and talk about democracy when they wouldn't even let their own electorate vote in an actual primary so that they could have a viable candidate to go up against Donald Trump, it's absurd. It's hilarious.
Through one of the toughest periods in our nation's history. I've had a great partner in Vice President Kamala Harris.
After I got my first plant, I was hooked. There's just something so peaceful about watering them and nurturing their growth. It gives me a sense of.
It's been the honor of my life to see the resilience of essential workers getting us through a once-in-a-century pandemic. The heroism of service members and first responders keeping us safe. The determination of advocates standing up for our rights and our freedoms instead of losing their jobs to an economic crisis that we inherited. Millions of Americans now have the dignity of work. Millions of entrepreneurs and companies creating new businesses and industries, hiring.
This is what's going to piss me off, because they keep lying about the state of the economy. First of all, they move the goalposts to what actually constitute a recession, but we've been in a recession for a while now. As a matter of fact, I knew it was coming in 2021 because my industry was the first to get hit. Okay. If you're just now feeling it, you're lucky. But all of this talk about people creating new jobs and entrepreneurship, a lot of this is gig work. A lot of this is not people being able to have a livable wage. Most Americans are either having to be married and split bills, or they're working 2 jobs. There are married couples who each are working 2 jobs just to be able to afford to live in this economy. And this man wants to sit up and act like he is leading an amazing economy. And then the fact that he says that he inherited a bad economy. No, you didn't. You absolutely did not. The economy was fine. As a matter of fact, all these tariffs that the mainstream news, MSNBC, keeps talking about, some of these tariffs that were passed under Joe Biden's administration, not many, but some, he chose to keep. So they didn't think all of that economic policy was bad. It's just you can't trust these people with our money. These decisions in these liberal states that were supported by Joe Biden, for them to be shut down, these states have been devastated. And for those of y'all who watch me and you are a Democrat and you're a Democrat by way of you are a minority and you just grew up being told that that's how you should vote, I want you to take an honest look at your education system, at the crime rate, and at the cost of living in whatever liberal city or state that you live in. They are doing the worst. Now, I'm from Texas. Texas natives are feeling it primarily because of the housing industry. You had people from California who were just able to come and pay cash for houses that to us required a mortgage. So that has driven up rental prices. You saw developers who saw that, hey, in California, they're paying $3,500 a month for a one-bedroom apartment. So the average cost of a one-bedroom in apartment in Dallas went from like $500 to $1,500. I know some people who were paying $2,000 a month for a one-bedroom apartment. With that said, I wouldn't rather be living, if I had to go back and live in the United States again, I would not want to live in any other state in the union. No, ma'am, you couldn't pay me to. I like that we didn't have state tax and local tax and things of that nature. We only paid federal taxes. Let me continue.
American workers using American products. Together, we've launched a new era of American possibilities. One of the greatest modernizations of infrastructure in our entire history, from new roads, bridges, clean water, affordable high-speed internet for every American. We invest.
The internet is not all that affordable and it's not that high speed. I'm sorry. If you compare our speed in internet to somewhere like the UK, it's not even close. So I don't know what he's talking about there. He just throwing things at the wall and hoping they stick, hoping that you buy into it.
Invented the semiconductor, smaller than the tip of my little finger. And now it's bringing those chip factories and those jobs back to America where they belong, creating thousands of jobs. Finally, I want to warn the country of some things that give me great concern. This is a dangerous and that's a dangerous concentration of power in the hands of a very few ultra-wealthy people. The dangerous consequences if their abuse of power is left unchecked. Today, an oligarch.
It's Joe Biden feigning concern of an oligarchy when he's a part of said oligarchy. Like, sir, stop playing in our face. Honestly and truly. He's sitting up and talking about, oh, there's an oligarchy. We need to be worried about these oligarchs. They've been here this whole time. Donald Trump coming into office is not going to change the fact that the United States has been an oligarchy for a very long time. And yes, there is concerns on the MAGA side, especially about Elon Musk. Let me say this. I don't trust Elon Musk but I can appreciate what he did for the coalition in the magma movement, right? Him taking over Twitter and allowing truth to be heard was genius. With that said, nobody really knows his true intentions. And what I can appreciate and what I like is that the MAGA side is willing and ready to call him out. Like they are on his neck, like their foot is on his neck, and they ain't let up about that HB1 visa, right? So we don't really know his true intentions. I don't like that whole Neuralink chip thing, right? And I'm not even a fundamentalist Christian, but you know, that's got the fundamentalist Christians shaking in their boots. They over there talking about the mark of the beast. I know, unless it was something drastic, like I couldn't walk or something like that, I wouldn't put that in my body. I'm sorry. I'm not doing it. Okay. With that said, Elon Musk has also done some things that are confusing, but are good. For example, at the beginning of the year, I'm sorry, at the beginning of the year, Ukraine, they wanted to launch an attack on Russian soil using the Starlink system. Y'all know that's Elon Musk's system. So Elon Musk did not give them permission to use it. As a matter of fact, he shut the satellites down because he did not want Russia to have a reason to declare war on us. And Democrats dragged him all across mainstream media for that. But it's his technology, and you can't be upset for somebody for deciding to not escalate a war or not get our name involved in an international war. You know, we were already pushing it by supplying them weapons and things of that nature. So again, it's so confusing how the Democrats have become this party of warmongers. But I will give Elon Musk his credit, because he could have very much allowed the Ukrainians to use his Starlink system to launch attacks on the Russian people and the Russian government. But he stood 10 toes down and said, no, I will not have that blood on my hands. With that said, we've also seen him try to take away verification for somebody who spoke out against him regarding the HB1 visas. So his intentions and his motives, they have yet to be seen. I will be keeping a lookout, but we're not going to play like the Joe Biden administration is for the working class people and that they are not concerned about their almighty dollar. We're not going to play like that.
Oligarchy is taking shape in America of extreme wealth, power, and influence that literally threatens our entire democracy, our basic rights and freedoms, and a fair shot for everyone.
Why is nobody talking about this? The ACT and SAT are no longer required to get into Ivy League.
To get ahead. If their abuse of power is left unchecked. Today, an oligarchy is taking shape in America of extreme wealth, power, and influence that literally threatens our entire democracy, our basic rights and freedoms, and a fair shot for everyone to get ahead. We see the consequences all across America, and we've seen it before, more than a century ago, with the American.
Okay, so a second ago, the economy was thriving. Now we see the consequences threatening people's ability to get ahead all across America. Well, Joe Biden, who has been the president? Because Donald Trump has not been in the office these last 4 years. Who has been the president? Who has allowed the threat to persist? Who has done absolutely nothing to help the little guy get ahead? You know what? I'm gonna take that back. A lot of people got their student loans forgiven under Joe Biden. As a matter of fact, many more probably would have gotten their student loans forgiven had the Supreme Court not blocked that. So I'm going to give credit where credit is due, but it was definitely throwing a dog a bone. Like, that's not real structural change. That's not going to do anything for the vast majority of Americans, right? All it does is, and again, I'm all for student loan debt getting relieved, but at the same time, it fueled anger from the right because they weren't getting any kind of help at all. They saw their material conditions deteriorating. So when they looked and seen people's student loans getting forgiven, all they saw was, oh, you got these liberals getting another handout, and we really don't want a handout. We want y'all to get out of our way. We want y'all to just not make it so hard for us to live, and we can't even get any relief. You have people who are coming into our communities who aren't even supposed to be here, who are driving wages down. And that is a myth that illegal immigrants come into our country and do the jobs that Americans don't want to do. Americans are more than willing to do jobs and work. You just have to pay them a livable wage. No, nobody is going to be out working in the heat on a farm for $1 an hour. Who can live off of that? Or $5 an hour? Nobody is going to do that.
American people stood up to the robber barons back then and busted the trusts. They didn't punish the wealthy, just made the wealthy play by the rules everybody else had to. Workers want rights to earn their fair share. You know, they were dealt into the deal, and it helped put us on a path to building the largest.
Okay, so I'm glad that he brought that up. Again, he's making all of these references to the Gilded Age and the Progressive Era. So the 16th Amendment is when federal income tax was introduced in the United States. Up until then, it was illegal to tax the income of American citizens at the federal level. We were one of the only countries that outlawed federal income tax. And a lot of that stemmed back to the reasons why we even broke away from Great Britain to begin with, right? You know, who fights a war just to go back to the same conditions that you were in? You know, we were very anti-taxation, right? So when Theodore Roosevelt gets in office, the idea is there's mass poverty, right? Again, we're coming off of the tails of a Gilded Age. There's mass income inequality. You got a lot of immigrants being brought to this country, and it's causing a lot of friction because, you know, you got the North industrializing, and instead of them paying American workers a fair wage, they are bringing in immigrants who are coming from countries where there's so much famine and poverty, who are willing to come to work every day, not take any sick days, and work under any conditions. So the wealthy in this country have always used immigration as a tool to stifle the wages of American people. And if you think it's racist to say that, then who cares? Honestly and truly. It doesn't change the fact that that's what they're doing, right? Now, with that said, I don't think that we should levy personal attacks against immigrants or mistreat them, right? But at the same time, it is our job to keep our foot on the neck of the federal government and these businesses when we see that they are trying to lowball us. Because at the end of the day, it is our job and our responsibility to have our best interests at heart. Other people in other countries do that. You can't just, as an American citizen, or you cannot just go run up in these countries and think that you don't have to follow their laws regarding immigration, working, tariffs. You know, a lot of countries charge the United States a tariff to do business in their countries, right? So he's referring to this time in American history where a graduated income tax got passed. And at the time it was seen as progressive because The rich, in theory, were supposed to pay their fair share. But again, over time, these people had money to buy people in Congress. These people had money to lobby and buy tax legislation. So, what it has come to is that these people don't pay their fair share in taxes. Some of these companies don't pay their fair share in taxes at all. And the American citizen, the average American citizen, is left holding the bag. I don't know why y'all are fighting so hard to keep income taxes in lieu of a tariff. For the vast majority of American history, we had tariffs, right? Andrew Jackson was able to completely pay down the national debt via tariffs. He was the only president to do that. But y'all are listening to all this propaganda about, oh, your goods are going to become more expensive because of tariffs. And some goods will. If they're imported from a foreign country and we have a tariff on that product, they will. The idea with tariffs is you don't place a tariff on goods that we don't produce in this country. You do place a tariff on goods that are coming into this country that can be bought in an American store or from an American manufacturer. What this does is it helps promote the support of local or American businesses. Now, if you still want to buy your foreign goods, you can buy your foreign goods. It's just going to be at a higher price, right? But what it does is it puts the American business first. And guess what? There are tariffs put on American goods when we sell them abroad. There are so many tariffs on foreign goods in Colombia, it's crazy. But in response, the Colombian people mostly buy local goods. They mostly buy produce and things of that nature that is produced in Colombia. So it's not a just tariff everything, even things that we can't get, and everything is going to go up. It doesn't work that way. And I'm sorry that you've been told that it works that way, but it absolutely does not work that way.
Largest middle class, the most prosperous century any nation in the world has ever seen. We've got to do that again. In the last 4 years, that is exactly what we've done. People should be able to make as much as they can, but play by the same rules, pay their fair share of taxes. So much is at stake. Right now, the existential threat of climate change has never been clearer. Just look across the country, from California to North Carolina. That's why I signed the most significant climate and clean energy law ever in the history of the world. And the rest of the world is trying to model it now. It's working, creating jobs and industries of the future. Now, we've proven we don't have to choose between protecting the environment and growing the economy. We're doing both. But powerful forces want to wield their unchecked influence to eliminate the steps we've taken to tackle the climate crisis, to serve their own interest for power and profit. We must not be bullied into sacrificing the future of our children and our grandchildren. We must keep pushing forward and push faster. There's no time to waste. It's also clear that American leadership in technology is an unparalleled source of innovation that can transform lives. We see
threw her in the car, pulled her by her.
Okay, so this is a video of Donald Trump being asked about his ongoing negotiations with Israel and Hamas 3 days ago. As a matter of fact, Kim Iverson covered this story, and she was talking about how Donald Trump had been strong arming Netanyahu behind the scenes. As a matter of fact, it seemed like he kind of has turned on Netanyahu. And I've talked about how extremely odd it is that that is the one country in the world that nobody is allowed to criticize, or else you will be accused of anti-est, if you know what I mean. Even if you have absolutely no problem with that religion or lineage of people, it's purely about foreign policy. People will try to make it seem like you are the second coming of Adolf Hitler. Okay. With that said, we'll watch this video about Trump and his negotiator talking about the ongoing negotiations that were taking place.
Done a fantastic job, and it's a dangerous job too, and we appreciate it. He didn't know about this kind of danger and the other deal making he does. Now he sees a lot of big danger. Come on up, Steve.
Mr. President, can I ask you the second part of that? Hamas
Yeah,
released
just one
another
second,
hostage
please.
video.
I'm going to give you a little report on the hostages if I can. Steve? Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Wow. Well, I think we're making a lot of progress, and I don't want to say too much because I think they're doing a really good job back in Doha. I'm leaving tomorrow back to go to Doha, but I think that we've had some really great progress, and I'm really hopeful that by the inaugural, we'll have some good things to announce on behalf of the president. I actually believe that we're working in tandem in a really good way, but it's the president, his reputation, the things that he has said that are driving this negotiation, and so hopefully it'll all work out and we'll save some lives. I believe we've been on the verge of it. I don't want to discuss sort of what's delayed it. There's no point to be negative in any way, but I think it's the president, his stature, what he said he expects, the red lines he's put out there.
I want to say this because a lot of people get upset when Donald Trump doesn't specifically talk about what he is going to say in these negotiations, or what type of leverage or bargaining chips that he is going to use when he is negotiating with these countries. But that is absolutely ridiculous. Why would you show your hand? There is a saying, don't let your left hand know what your right hand is doing. I can tell that many of y'all have never actually been around rich businessmen. Some of y'all need to go read The Art of the Deal. That's why a lot of y'all get treated the way that you go ahead and get in bed. Like I was saying, I can tell that a lot of y'all have never been around rich people or people who do business. And if you have been around them, you were probably so in awe about the fact that they had money and just only concerned about what you could get out of the situation that you didn't try to take the time to study how they think and the things that they do. Like, you don't let your left hand know what your right hand is doing. So it's kind of like during the Cuban Missile Crisis when JFK was trying to negotiate a peace agreement with the USSR and Nikita Khrushchev. Like, they didn't come on the news every single day and talk about exactly what they were going to say in the exact details. You know, what both countries want to do is be able to look like they won and to save face. And you're not going to be able to do that if you are in public talking about the terms of your agreement on mainstream media or the internet. You know, a lot of times that's how these deals fall through. So, for example, during the Cuban Missile Crisis, what we gave up is that we took our nukes out of Turkey, and in exchange, Nikita Khrushchev took his nukes out of Cuba. But they didn't disclose that part to the American people on national news that day. It just looked like, you know, the Russians tucked tail and ran and took their missiles out of Cuba, right? But the agreement had already been reached before that narrative had been put out.
That's driving this negotiation. I'm going back probably either this evening or tomorrow night.
Are you confident there'll be a deal before January 20th, or is that something that's likely to happen, if there's a deal even at all? We've been hearing this now for the better part of.
I know. I would say,
It better be.
right. I would say that the president is exasperated. I don't want to talk for him, but look, I don't know anyone who delegates better than President Trump. He gives us a lot of authority to speak on his behalf, and he exhorts us to speak emphatically.
Everybody who has worked for Donald Trump has said that he delegates tasks very well, that he is a very good leader, that he's clear, but he also gives these people the space to work within their own expertise or skills, right? He's very good at hiring talent and trusting them to do the job that he hired them to do, right? Which is in sharp contrast to, you know, what people have to say about Kamala Harris, to be honest. I mean, we know that majority of her staff quit. She couldn't keep staff members on. People have spoken very negatively about working up under her. So, like, there are so many stories out about her terrible leadership skills. But everybody, for the most part, probably with the exception of Mike Pence, who has worked up under Donald Trump in his previous administration, has absolutely nothing but positive things to say about the way that he delegated tasks. And whether or not you like him or you agree with his politics, you have to respect his ability to govern effectively and efficiently. It just is what it is.
And emphatically means you better get it. You better do this, because the alternative.
Do you think they're waiting for President Trump to take office?
No, I think they heard him loud and clear. Better get done by the inaugural.
But when you say all hell will be paid, all hell must be paid if they don't release the
Well, you know what that
hostages.
means, don't you? What, do I have to define it for you? All
No, I know
hell
you're not
will
gonna
break out.
telegraph
If
what-
those hostages aren't back, I don't want to hurt your negotiation. If they're not back by the time I get into office, all hell will break out in the Middle East.
Can you elaborate?
And it will not be good for Hamas, and it will not be good, frankly, for anyone. All hell will break.
That can you elaborate? That is a stupid question. That's like you're about to get into a fight with somebody and you're standing there talking about what you gonna do and what you will do. Well, guess what? They see you coming. They see you coming. They are prepared, right? And again, once you make certain threats, then you have to stand on them. So you kind of back yourself into a corner as answering questions like that. It is best to leave things up to the imagination. Again, some of y'all need to go read The Art of the Deal, or y'all need to sit down and observe some actual businessmen in their element, or pick their brains, ask them questions, talk to them, like get into their head. Don't let these people get into your head. You need to be trying to learn something from them.
break out. I don't have to say anymore, but that's what it is. And they should have given them back a long time. They should have never taken them. There should have never been the attack of October 7th. People forget that. But there was, and many people are killed. They're no longer hostages. I have people from Israel and others calling, begging me to get, we had also people there from the United States, just so you know. They're holding some so-called hostages from the U.S. But I've had mothers come to me and fathers crying, can I get the body of their son back? Can I get the body of their daughter back? That beautiful girl where they threw her in the car, pulled her by her ponytail and threw her in the car.
And again, we haven't really heard much talk of these hostages from the Biden administration. They haven't talked about any publicly. They haven't been talking about these so-called ongoing negotiations. They haven't done any recent press conferences about these ongoing negotiations. And all of a sudden, they see Donald Trump do a press conference, and then a few days later, a deal is made, and now they want to come out and take credit. No, they were just waiting to see if the deal was going to actually get made, and now they want to be loud and proud after there has already been an agreement reached. Furthermore, these heads of state, they're not really dealing with Joe Biden at this point. They already know who they need to talk to. Right? This is the incoming president. Joe Biden is in his lame duck administration. So no world leader is going to listen to deals and agreements that are being made by Joe Biden and think that they can take him at his word when they know that an incoming president is coming in literal days and could completely undo whatever they talked about with Joe Biden. That's just not smart. Do y'all think that every country in the world is run by morons? No.
Like she was a sack of potatoes. I said, what happened to her? Sir, she's dead. Like a 19, 20-year-old beautiful girl. And the way they treated.
Yeah, that's really sad. And I honestly and truly hope that they can get these hostages home as soon as possible. And I couldn't imagine my life being caught in the balance for months and months and months, and not knowing whether or not I was going to come up out of it. A lot of these hostages have already lost their lives. It's really unfortunate. And this is why I am so anti-war, right? Because there's no fairness in war. People become animals. They become beasts. People who, previously would have held some type of moral high ground, when you are placed in desperate situations, that is when you see who you are really made of. During times of war, that is the time where these armies go into these countries and they take it from these women and children, and they pillage and they plunder, and we don't see each other as people anymore. All it is a us versus them things, and atrocities are committed in mass. I'm thinking of the Malay massacre that happened during the Vietnam War. Nobody wins but the rich people in a war. So as an American citizen, I feel like it is our responsibility to, at all costs, condemn war and to denounce it. There's unless we are defending our mainland, there is no need for us to be funding wars. I'm sorry, there's just not. Okay, so the last topic that I wanted to get into was the increase in UFO sightings that has been taking place. So I am going to go to the Black Cauldrons channel. This is interesting to me, y'all. So I've really kind of been getting into like the paranormal and all of this like I don't know, astrology, things of that nature. And I honestly want to talk more about those subjects on my channel. I would like to diversify this channel. As I told y'all, if you follow me on Instagram, I don't want to really be in the celebrity gossip and relationship talk space. Honestly and truly, I could care less about what a lot of these celebrities are doing with their private lives. To be honest, I mean they're regular people just like the rest of us, and I don't care to follow people who make a lot of questionable life choices and discuss it. I mean, and at this point with the relationship talk, a lot of y'all know what y'all need to do. Y'all just don't want to do it. A lot of y'all know that you need to leave dating alone and focus on yourself and do the inner work. But a lot of y'all are too weak to do it. So you're still trying to figure out how to fit a circle into a square. You're still trying to figure out how to manipulate. You're still trying to figure out how to make somebody want you. You're still trying to figure out how to make somebody love you. You're still trying to figure out how to get the upper hand in a situation, when honestly and truly the problem is you. So I don't want to keep talking about this. I will hear women asking the same questions, talk about how a man is doing them wrong, cheating on them, lying to them, mistreating them, and you're still here. Why do you want to be with the person and in their presence and they're mistreating you? It is seriously a mental illness. And you have people who will say the reasonable thing, which is just leave, focus on yourself, work on you, and y'all want to do everything but that. And when I say y'all, I'm sorry, I'm not talking about my audience. I'm talking about the people who continually want to talk about the same things over and over again. I hear men tell women to go do better. And now that you actually have a coalition of women who are talking about what doing better looks like, which is completely walking away from relationships to become better parents, to become better citizens of our community, to focus on our children, to focus on the quality of the care and love and concern that we give to ourselves and the community at large being able to benefit from that. Like when we start having these conversations, all of a sudden the conversation goes from y'all need to choose better to y'all need to just settle and get with any man regardless of how they're treating you, because you have no value, you have no worth, your standards are too high. Then y'all start rating us by numbers and rating us by looks and try to tell us what we do and do not deserve. So y'all are confused. Some of y'all don't know if y'all want us to do better or you want us to keep doing the same thing over and over again. But when we do the same thing over and over again, you're blaming us about the negative outcomes and consequences that are happening on a societal level as a result of women who cannot self-discipline and keep having babies by bums, or keep having babies by crazy men, or keep having babies by men that don't want them. So at this point, you can't have it both ways. As for me, I don't care what the rest of y'all choose to do. I know that I'm going to put this thing on ice. Been having it on ice. And I know that I'm going to focus on me and my daughter and being a good friend, being a good mother. I'm not saying I will never, ever be in a relationship in my life, but I'm saying I'm not going to force that. Sometimes it's just not in the cards for you. And that's okay. That's what surrendering to God's will looks like. I do know that, if there is a man who comes along and he is a good person, he is a kind person, he is a caring person, he sees me as the individual that I am, and he wants to get to know my mind, which the vast majority of men don't want to know any woman for real, but if that type of man comes along and God puts it on my heart that that's where I need to be, then I'm open to it, but only under those conditions. I'm not going to go be with a man just because society feels like I need to have a man in the house with me, or that my only purpose in life is to be barefoot and pregnant. I'm not doing it. It has to serve a purpose. And if it doesn't, the Buddha said it's better to walk alone than with a fool. I believe the Bible has such references as well. So with that said, I don't want to talk about relationships. What I do want to talk about is politics, conspiracy theories, and creepy stuff. So let's get into this video by the Black Cauldron. So there has been talks that there is possibly an imminent alien invasion. Why? Because these UFOs sightings, or they have another word for it now. I'm going to stick to the old school term. UFO sightings have increased like over the last few months. Now, I had a student at the beginning of the year, and I wish I still had the video because he sent it to me, but I couldn't find it. But I had a student who was in DeSoto, Texas, and he sent me videos of UFOs, and they were like moving, and he was in his backyard, and they were like moving incredibly fast, and they were like these bright orbs. Now, by this time, the federal government had already been having hearings about UFOs and these classified programs. It had already came out on national news that these are a thing. Military personnel had already started feeling comfortable enough to come out and talk about it. Now, what I will say is I do have a bit of skepticism, because my question is, why now? I have no doubt that other life exists, right? Like that's not the debate here. Like, I'm sold on that, right? But my question is, the US government has been withholding this from the American people for years, at least since Roswell. Why are they deciding to let us know this information now? Now, some people feel like there is going to be a war between the aliens and the people on Earth, which I don't think it would be a war. I mean, we've seen this technology. I don't think we could whoop them. I don't know what they want. But I'm going to play these videos of people seeing these UFOs. Give me 1 second. Again, if you're just now coming in, please hit the like button. I would love it if y'all would hop into the chat.
Transform your newsletter into its very own mobile app and allow your readers to install it directly on their home screen. Your custom branded mobile app, equipped with real-time push notifications, will ensure they never miss another piece of content.
Bro, oh no, look to your left, look to your left. There's another one to the left. Over here in the fucking trees. What the fuck, bro? What the fuck? There's one fucking there, bro. Over here, bro. Oh my god, bro. Oh.
Baby. Give me 1 second. I'm sorry, y'all. Please go to bed.
Some point, because I'm going to post this today and I'm recording it today, December 3rd, 2024, there is supposed to be a war between the humans and the aliens. And some people are saying it's going to be on the ground or it's going to be up in the sky. So we're going to be watching a couple TikToks, and it's going to be of these UAP, UFO type crafts that are up in the sky. Before we start today's episode, I just want to give a shout out to my Bali gang, the people that are going to Bali with me next July from the 16th to the 22nd. We have a few more spots left, and since we are so close to being fully booked, I did put those spots on sale.
Right? White is black and
the sky is green when it's blue and so on. And eventually people go, you know,
Bro, oh no, look to your left, look to your left.
Some people are saying it's down or it's going to be up in the sky. So we're going to be watching a couple TikToks, and it's going to be of these UAP, UFO type crafts that are up in the sky. Before we start today's episode, I just want to give a shout out to my Bali gang, the people that are going to Bali with me next July from the 16th to the 26th. To be a UAP, and this happened in St. Lucie, Florida. I think that's how you say it. And this was just 3 days ago.
Everything shut down. I just restarted my phone. I'm publishing this now. It's landing. Jesus. Holy shit. My God. Somebody go get them. Somebody go get them now. This thing's landing. Holy shit. My God. It's not a helicopter. Oh my God. Port Cities, Florida. US 1. They see it. Shit.
Now, I don't know what that is, but that is extremely weird to me. I've never seen any type of flying object behave that way in the sky. And again, it could absolutely be fake. It could be some type of weird special effects that I don't know about. But again, like there are too many of these videos on TikTok with these objects behaving in very similar ways, and it's happening in different areas for me to think that none of these are real.
Walmart Supercenter right now. It's the 29th. 6 p.m. Just crossed US 1. Just dropped something too. The lights are shut down. That's an EMP.
It's unfortunate because that video isn't clear. I mean, a lot of these people are using their phone to zoom in, but that definitely does not look like a helicopter or a plane. It looks like what he's saying it looks like. This next creator goes under the handle Rondi Evelyn Stoll, and she is in Colombia, and this is the 1st of December. And again, looking like aliens in the sky.
Okay, so y'all know that I live in Colombia, but I'm here in the United States right now visiting family and friends. I will be back next month. So this happened in December while I was gone. I'm pretty sure that I would have noticed it. You know, like you can see the skyline in Medellin because it's kind of like in the middle of some mountains. Like when you look up and you're in certain areas, especially if you're in like Las Cometas or something like that, you will be able to see everything in the sky. So actually, I want to say a couple weeks before we left, there was like a weird mist that was in the sky. And I remember me and my daughter and I, we were walking back home from her soccer practice, but we were like at the top of the mountains in Las Cometas. And they call it that, like the comets, because it's so high up. And some kids stopped me and they were like, "What's that? Do you know what that is?" And I was like, "I don't know what that is." And some kids were like, "It's rain," but there was no actual rain particles. Like I had never seen anything like it. It was kind of like there was some weird gas storm and there was like the eye of the storm. I'm not saying that it was alien. I'm just saying it was weird. It might have just been something I did not know about or something that is common there. But then again, I would think that if it was common, those children who live in that area would know what it is and not have been so confused. So this is so interesting that this happened, and it happened while I was gone. All the cool stuff happens when I'm gone.
Not what I usually post, but then again, this is kind of weird. Went to the window. I'm in South America for work to close my blind, 5:54 p.m., Medellin, Colombia. And here it is. It's just this sphere moving north to south. And I was able to track it. I actually got a couple of still shots as well. But after it goes down below the horizon, I could still see it, but it didn't pick it up on video very well. It went, it was lighter than the distance. But what is this thing?
You know what shocks me the most is that they're actually disc. Like what the government has been telling us or putting in movies for years and saying that it wasn't that and it wasn't real. They look the way movies portray them. I wonder where that information came from. This next clip comes from an account called Pipes, and she sees a UAP up in the sky and flashes a big kind of like light beam, a green like laser at it, and it absolutely reacts to it. Just watch.
You see that, Coach Q?
Now, to be clear, I don't know if that was the object reacting to the laser. If so, that's a strong laser. So much as like the laser just had to happen to be pointing at it while it was trying to like navigate to a different place in space, right? They could have had no awareness of this person shooting this laser up into the air. With that said, it didn't look like some type of special effects. And again, this could all be like government technology. It might not necessarily be UFOs. Again, I absolutely believe that other life is among us. I'm saying I don't know if these sightings are that. That's what I'm saying. We don't know what this is. I just know I've never seen anything like it and at the frequency that we're seeing it until these past couple months.
They're all over the fucking place. What the fuck? Am I seeing shit?
That's a UFO.
There's no blue or red
On the camera. It's like a dome.
That's a UFO.
Quiet.
What the fuck? Like literally,
Look
dude,
at that
that's
thing.
weird in the sky right there.
Dude,
Dude, are we watching a comet or shooting star falling?
No, that's not moving quick enough. There's no tail.
And
That's a UFO.
there's no blue or red
Look,
lights.
something's coming off.
Okay, so that's one commonality that I am noticing in all these videos. The objects seem to be orbs, like orbs of lights. Again, I saw these exact same objects in the video that my student sent me of the, UFOs. I'm assuming they're UFOs that he saw in his backyard in DeSoto, Texas. There were like two of them, and it seems like they are appearing in groups more and more. Now, again, this might not be alien technology, this might be government technology, but regardless, this is something different. Again, like he said, these objects don't have tails on them. So, whatever it is, the propulsion systems for them are different than what anything that we as regular American citizens know about. So there's something going on here.
What the fuck? Whoa, bro.
It's coming right here.
Like that. It's not like an aura coming off. I've never seen anything like it. I got my video on $2 on this shit. What the fuck is that? Dude, this is mad. Look at the glow around it. Look how the light's going off in two sides, though.
Look, it's moving. Look at the lights are moving around it. What the fuck? It's hovering. Oh my god.
Oh my god, I see that.
Look, it's going up. It's taking off. No fucking way.
What the fuck? It just went out to space.
What?
It just went out to space.
What the
It just
fuck?
went out to space.
What the fuck?
Holy
Oh my
shit.
god.
And I know what it looked like to me. That matters. This clip also posted 2 days ago, but it's in New York over the Hudson River. I will have to mute this because there's nobody talking. It's just background.
Okay, so I know what it looked like to me too, sis. That thing ascended rapidly, more rapidly than what any aircraft is able to do, up into, we don't know where it went, honestly. So that thing went from 0 to 100 times infinity real quick. So this is not the average. This is not normal technology. All of these objects seem to be behaving the same way. They're all orbs. They all seem to have no obvious traditional propulsion system. So something very weird is going on. And, you know, Donald Trump said that he will disclose all this information about these programs and these UFOs. I hope that he does so. With that said, it's a possibility that, like, he gets in office and he might not be able to say anything. I wonder if they're going to even come up off of that information. And when he was in office the first time, I don't remember him disclosing any information about UFOs. Now, I don't know if he was made privy to that information, but it's possible that he learned something and he has to make some type of decision as to whether or not it is appropriate to inform the American people. Again, like, I have questions as to why we are just now finding out about this, but why they kept it a secret for so long. You know, we have to leave room for the possibility that there is a good reason why the government did not tell us this. With that said, I feel like y'all owe the conspiracy theorist an apology. You know, y'all are always loud and proud when y'all want to call people crazy, when y'all want to put people in mental institutions, when y'all want to call people conspiracy theorists, like when y'all want to be childish and do all the name calling, and when you want to do everything but investigate the claims that are being made, y'all are loud and proud. But every time we come out and we are correct, or there is some evidence that at least supports the possibility that what we are saying might be true, y'all don't say anything. Y'all just pretend that nothing happened, that you weren't talking major shit on the internet or talking major shit to our faces, right? And some of y'all even go so far as to pretend that you had always been on the side of the conspiracy theorists. Like, some of y'all really be playing like from the jump, you were saying the same things. It's the craziest thing. So I don't know. I think it's pride. I think it's ego. I think a lot of y'all just don't want to admit that you're like wrong, which is okay. Like, it's okay to be wrong. We're all wrong. I think the problem is some of y'all are always wrong. So yeah, I would have a blow to my ego too. Okay, let's continue with the video. I'm not going to watch it all. I've told y'all before, I don't like watching the entirety of other content creators' videos, but I'll continue with it for a little bit.
Background music that I know is going to get copywritten, but it comes from an account with a actual web URL as the account name, so I'm not even going to say it, but it will be linked down below. And just look. What gets me is that they're just hovering in most cases and just watching. And it gets my noggin to noggining. And I'm like, what y'all looking at? Like, what are you, y'all been observing us already. What do you want with us? What do you need? Because
Okay, I kind of feel that way too. Like, what do y'all want with us? Hey, these aliens have been observing us for years. You know, who knows how long they have been observing us? Who knows how long they have been here? But honestly and truly, humans are not that interesting and we're very predictable. I feel like once you've observed us for a few years, then like our patterns are very predictable. I'm saying this as like just the regular average person who has had to learn about people from our day to day. Imagine you've been able to study humans from a distance, kind of like how scientists study monkeys, you know, in their natural environment from a distance, you know, for years and years. So it's like at this point, what is it that you're trying to figure out? You know, are they ready to make some type of move? Is there a reason why they all of a sudden want us to be more aware of their presence? Is this not even aliens? Is this government technology? Either way it goes, it seems to be the same type of technology that is behaving the same way. And it's actually getting really scary. I'm like, if y'all want to do something, then bust the move. We can't win. Do what you gonna do, you know, unless there's a possibility that we have acquired some type of technology that makes them feel like at the very least they have to try to proceed with caution. You know, maybe we've acquired something that can maybe match their energy. And again, we wouldn't know that as the American people. Or even if it doesn't match, I heard the analogy one time, like you might know that you can defend yourself against a chicken, but you're not gonna go up and try to like get into it with that chicken. You know, that chicken is going to try to fight back or peck at you back or scratch at you back. So even though the chicken can't really like, you know, the chicken's not going to unalive you, you just don't want to deal with the hassle. Maybe that's a possibility. You know, they know that we're going to go down swinging at the very least. So I don't know. Y'all tell me what y'all think. And, you know, let me know in the comments if you are interested about these type of topics or things like that that you would like me to cover. Again, I am switching gears on this channel. You know, every now and then, if I feel like there's a really important lesson, I will talk about the whole relationship thing. But other than that, I want to talk about the real stuff that actually matters. I want to talk about these conspiracy theories. I want to talk about the government. I want to talk about things that are happening globally and around the world. And, you know, for those of y'all who you feel like you subscribe to my channel because you wanted me to talk about relationships all the time, I do apologize, and I've enjoyed having you here. I appreciate the support, but I definitely understand if we're just not on the same vibe. But I would love for y'all to come along this journey and this transformation with me, and maybe we can grow our minds in a different way together. With that said, guys, y'all have a good night. Make sure that you hit the like button on the way out. Make sure to subscribe and share my video if you liked it or if you cared. And y'all enjoy y'all night. Goodbye.